for you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank, drain, and fill activities. Just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So what are we doing? Recycle drain to EDB. So taking it out of the tank there into an EDB.
Right, and so you got all the methods and everything.
I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
Cut out your diplonia uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
Cut out your diplonia.
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure it.
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP on Optimus.
So, different, right? So with B2 and B6. Okay, so those two. Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy things. Production
I
possibly
heard it all,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy. We're putting the power downs in work for that fireboard.
Yes, 10 seconds.
Houston and Sioux station from main 2 crew. We've estimated 2 hours and 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 minute. Yep.
So if you hear a thump,
You wouldn't close.
The person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through deep press, you'll be able to watch that. Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the detent button is up. Detent button. Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate. There we go. Now we got a good white visible. And drive to torque. Nice.
All right.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
hey, I've got a pair of those.
That's some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Fiesta chicken. That's the best stuff.
And you're watching NASA TV. gun ready to go. Let's roll up.
All right, we're good, we're good. And here we go. Bring your chin down just a touch. There you go. Ready? Smile. There you go. Good, hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right, looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should do some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So we're doing a recycle drain to EDV. So taking it out of the tank there into an EDV.
Right, and so you got all the nut guys, got
Compressor
everything.
in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
Cut out your Dipdania uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
Cut out your Dipdania.
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure it.
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP on Optimus.
So, different, right? So with B2 and B6. Okay, so those two, Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy things. Production
I
possibly
heard it all,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy, we're putting the power downs in work for that fireboard.
Seconds. Yes, 10 seconds.
Feustel and soup station from main 2 crew. We've estimated TOs in 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 minute. Yep.
Somebody here at
You wouldn't close.
The person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through depress, you'll be able to watch that. Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the descent button is up.
Descent button.
Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate. There we go. Now we got a good white visible. And drive to torque. Nice.
All right.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
Hey, I've got a pair of those.
Some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Fiesta chicken. That's the best stuff.
Push it up, and you're watching NASA TV. Discovery, go, it's roll up.
There we go. Good. Hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There we go. All right. Looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should give him some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So we're doing a recycle drain to EDVS, taking it out of the tank there into an EDVS.
Right, and so you got all the guys.
Compressor in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
How about you get Danny uncapped?
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
How about you took the Danny?
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is the part where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so just configure the.
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP on Optimus.
So, different, right? So with B2 and B6. Okay, so those two and Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy, thanks. Production
yeah, here we go,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy. We're putting the power downs in work for that fireboard.
Yes, 10 seconds.
Feustel and soup station from main 2 crew. We've estimated that 2 days and 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 minute. Yep.
So if you hear a thump,
You wouldn't close.
the person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through the press, you'll be able to watch that.
Yep.
Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the detent button is up. Detent button. Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate. There we go. Now we got a good white visible. And drive to torque. Nice. All right.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
Hey, I've got a pair of those.
That's some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Feustel chicken. That's the best stuff.
And you're watching NASA TV. Discovery, go and throttle up.
All right, we're good. And here we go. Take your chin down just a touch. There you go. Ready? Are we smiling?
Watch the suit.
There we go. Good. Hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right, looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should give some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So what are we doing? recycle drain to EDB. So taking it out of the tank there into an EDB.
Right, and so you got all the methods.
Compressor in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got a
Cut out your Davinia uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then mate it, yeah.
Cut out your Davinia.
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure the
And I'm Amy Davis, in for Rachel McNeil. We've got Jennifer here tracking the traffic. It's much smoother mornings today than yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got some good news on tap. Let's all just topped up and nothing that we can't handle on fantastic stuff.
All right. And by cool front, how cool are we talking?
We're going to have a 10-degree cool down behind it, but it's only going to last for this morning. So we'll rebound this afternoon. So you have to make sure that you take advantage of our gorgeous weather. This morning, a little so-so. We're waking up to overcast skies. We're tracking a few light showers. This is a really weak front. We're expecting less than a tenth of an inch of rain on exact track radar. You can see those measly showers passing through. But if you're waking up in Montgomery County,
Ricky, this is KPRC in Houston. Can you hear me?
In the Woodlands.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. How are you?
Those extend up over 156 in the Lake Livingston area.
Good. How are you doing?
In the morning, showers will
doing great.
And we're going to have a really awesome day. We do drop to the mid-60s behind the...
Great, Ricky. So right now I know you're getting ready for a huge trip, 6 months in space. Most people here can't even commit to 2 weeks on a vacation, let alone 6 months. How are you feeling?
We'll see beautiful
very excited. We have our final exams in the rear view mirror, and we're getting ready to head down to Kazakhstan for the final launch.
Talk about your
very
coming out. Oh, an extra treat. Thanks a lot, Britta. This time of the year is certainly beautiful, so enjoy, folks. If you usually travel...
So your big project on the ISS is, of course, the Year of Education on Station program. What are you most excited about when it comes to that program?
You're cautious as you pass by the scene.
Yeah, we have a lot going on the space station, and the Year of Education is very exciting to me personally, being a former classroom teacher. Joe Akaba just landed, who's also a former classroom teacher. I think one of the really things we're trying to do is shine light on the amazing people in the United States and around the world who dedicate their lives to taking care of our most precious resources.
Time right now, only 11 minutes between 518 and downtown. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Activists are hoping to...
And how do you hope to inspire students? Because I know I was reading on NASA's website, it's supposed to inspire anybody from kindergartners who are 5 years old to postgraduates who are in their 20s. I mean, that's a big age range.
President Trump will issue an
I want all those students to think about possibilities for their lives and possibilities for humans as a species.
A lot going on right now, including that
a
lot of gun control
activists really does a good job highlighting what we are capable of a species as we come together and work together for peaceful purposes. On top of that, we do a lot of really cool science on the space station. We just want to kind of bring it to the classroom so kids can get a sense for what science we do on a daily basis. this wonderful laboratory on the space station and around the world in laboratories and other places where people work in science.
24-hour #March1 NRA boycott.
And how does it make you feel that millions of students are going to look to you and say, hey, Teacher Ricky? I mean, doesn't that make you feel a little like Leonardo DiCaprio, kind of, you know, like you're this big guy that everybody's looking to now?
That turn weapons.
Yeah, my daughters would laugh at that comparison, I think, very heartily. What I hope they do is they look at what we're doing on the space station, see a teacher there, and look at their own teachers in the classroom and say, boy, I am just so thankful for this person who's chosen this as a career path and who's here for me on a day-to-day basis to set me on the right path in life.
It would be so beautiful to have one bill that every...
So I know you just mentioned your daughters. How do they feel that they're losing their dad for 6 months? I mean, or how does that make you feel?
Well, hopefully not losing. I'm planning on coming back. My daughters are a little bit older now, and they've watched me launch into space before when they were much younger. I think they're very excited, and they really, I think they're really proud to play the role they play in the space station program and space program, and that's supporting me and the rest of our families that support us to make this possible. Being away for that period of time is a sacrifice. I'm getting to do what I want to do. And they're home and doing their thing and providing the support we need to make this all possible. I'm immensely thankful for the family support we get.
All right, thanks.
Oh, that's huge. We thank them as well for letting you go. Question, do you take anything like mementos? Like we were always thinking, what do astronauts really sneak on board? Is there anything like that or anything, their craziest thing that you've heard that's been snuck up there to the ISS?
That's when one of the men pulled out a gun.
I can only speak for what I've taken or what I have planned to take. Of course, family photographs. We have a small crew quarters where we live, and I'll have family photographs and photographs of friends and their families, which is always nice to have wherever you are. I got a few other mementos from some of the universities where I've studied, some of the schools where I've worked, some things for where my wife works used to work as a classroom teacher, works in a local elementary school in Clear Lake area. Have something for them. So I have a baseball season's coming up, so I took a baseball with me. I don't know how useful it's going to be on the space station, but I'll have it there with me.
Hey, Ricky, Bill Harwood, CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center. Good afternoon, I guess, and thanks for taking time to chat with me.
Hey, Bill, good to talk to you again. I always appreciate you're always there to talk to us. I always appreciate it.
Well, listen, let me start with this. I'm always fascinated by guys who rode the shuttle and get ready to ride the Soyuz. What are your impressions of the Soyuz? Its reliability, its creature comforts. What are you looking forward to about that launch, and what are your impressions?
Yeah, those are two very different subjects. The reliability of the Soyuz is fantastic. Creature comforts. I'm a pretty tall guy, and the Soyuz was not designed for people over 6 feet tall. So. However, it does a great job of getting us to and from orbit and provides a lifeboat for us in case we need to come home in an emergency. So incredibly thankful to kind of have the opportunity in this career to fly both of those iconic spacecraft.
What's your sense of, you mentioned its reliability, of course, it's been flying a long time. Do you have any concerns about risk, compared to Space Shuttle?
The Soyuz systems are a lot simpler, and I think that builds in a robustness to the system. So I'm confident that we're going to have a successful launch and reentry. It's an amazingly reliable system. The shuttle was capable of doing things that no other vehicle, as you know, has been able to do or probably will be able to do for quite some time. But with that complexity, it becomes built-in risk. So we're very confident about the vehicle, and I'm really excited to have a chance to fly. When I was a real young kid, I got to see the launch of the Apollo Soyuz test flight from the Cape, and to get a chance to kind of ride in that iconic spaceship is a real thrill for me.
How about your family? How do they view all this and the whole thing about launching with the Russians and all of that?
They're excited. As you know, my family, we spent a fair bit of time together living overseas, and so they really value international peace to this. And for me to get the opportunity to come over here and try to learn a language and go execute this mission, not only with our Russian colleagues, but also our Japanese and German colleague, they're very excited about it. They really view the space station as something special, and just the ability for people of different cultures and ideas to come together and build this amazing thing in space, I think is inspiring to them as it is to me, and I think to many people around the world.
How about your crew? I was wondering if you could give me a little thumbnail of your commander. I mean, what's it like to work with him and to train with him?
I think you're talking about our Soyuz commander, Oleg Artemyev?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a great guy. He comes from an EVA background, which is where the job I had prior to being assigned to this mission. He's been here a long time. He's very technically sharp. It's his second mission, his first time in command of the Soyuz. He's very kind. He has a great sense of humor, and I think he does a really good job of bringing people together and making them feel part of the team. We all struggle a little bit with language. Some of the cosmonauts' English is better than others. Oleg his English is pretty good. His English is certainly better than my Russian. But we found a common language that works in the Soyuz and works in social situations. I've come to consider him a great friend.
And Ricky, you've obviously flown a short duration shuttle mission, so you have some sense of what to expect when you get into orbit. But for a long duration flight, what are you looking forward to the most?
Just living there. I think we talked about this last time a little bit, but being able to help build the International Space Station, you're kind of a quick house guest, and you don't really get the sense of living and working in space. You're kind of there to do a specific job and then turn around and go home and kind of get out of the space station crew's way so they can do their job. So just the pace will be different, I believe. The continuity and the science, and actually seeing day to day how the flight plan lays out. And then just when we do have some time off, to be able to enjoy the view of the cupola and the camaraderie gathering around for meals, I think it's just going to have a different feel to it for a long duration mission compared to a short duration mission.
And I've got to wrap this up for me anyway, but could you give me a short sense of, you're an educator, what you might have planned during your stay in the educational arena?
Sure. One is, I really want to continue what Joe's done, is to really shine a light on the people who are working in our nations and the world's classrooms. Just to kind of say, this is what's possible. These are amazing people. We have very talented folks working in the classroom, and just to kind of say thanks to them. Also want to make sure we point out what a great platform the ISS is for education, and finally to finish kind of the Challenger education mission. We're working to finish the experiments and the demonstrations that Krista McAuliffe intended to do on the space shuttle.
Thanks, Ricky. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
Go ahead and begin, sir.
Hey, Ricky. Bill Dennison here. How are you?
Bill, I'm well. I was pleasantly surprised to see your name on the interview list today, so I really appreciate you taking time to give us a call.
No, it's my honor. So, one of the things that your last interview asked you about is how your former students view you as the teacher in space. I want to ask you about our graduate students at the Marine History and Environmental Science program here at University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science. You've talked with them several times since you did your first mission, and so they're looking to you not as a teacher but as a graduate student colleague. What can you tell these graduate students that are aspiring to discover unlock mysteries of Chesapeake Bay, as you did in your master's? What do you tell them about their journey of discovery as you go and learn new things in space?
Well, there's just an infinite number of possibilities that are open to them. They're going to finish with working in an amazing degree program. They're going to have amazing experiences in the pursuit of those degrees, and don't constrain yourself to other pathways, to certain pathways. There's an infinite number of options open to them, and I hope they really take the opportunity to explore and exercise their degree in places maybe they hadn't considered.
Like outer space.
Potentially, sure.
You know, one of your specialties has been spacewalks, and you know that which is kind of reflects on your experience as a scuba diver, where you're weightless and you're dealing with decompression and recompression like you do in spacewalks. Do you have any spacewalks on this mission plan?
Well, right now, currently, we are launch on the 21st, dock on the 23rd, and Drew Feustel and I are planning to. We have part of the plan is for us to do our first spacewalk on the 29th. So we have a pretty quick turn before our first spacewalk. We have the potential to do a couple more, and of course, if something breaks, there's always things that pop up that require you to go outside and fix what's broken.
Okay, great. So when you went up last time in 2009, I asked if you could get a photograph of Chesapeake Bay, where I'm working and you used to work, and it was cloudy that 2 weeks that you were up there. You got a nice picture of Bermuda, where we worked together back in 1989, but you dipped out on Chesapeake Bay. So you only had 200 laps around the world that time.
Right.
You're going to have a couple thousand laps around this time, so you're going to promise me you're going to be able to finally get me a Chesapeake Bay photo?
I'll do everything I can. Yeah, we flew over, and it was either cloudy, and there were a couple of passes where it was nighttime. And I do remember flying over D.C. once at night. But there's a whole lot of that region I'd like to get some pictures of, and some other special places around the world too.
Great, that'd be exciting. Well, I'll just
send them to you when I have.
Sorry. We're going to be standing here on the banks of Chesapeake Bay. That's Judy and me and this round of graduate students, and we're going to be looking up at the sky, and we're going to be wishing you good speed and good luck and Godspeed, Ricky.
Thanks, Bill. Great to see you, and I look forward to catching up when I get back.
Hi, Ricky. Can you hear me? This is Baltimore.
Hi, hear you loud and clear.
Okay, we're coming to you in about 15 seconds. Stand by.
Sounds great.
A Maryland native is heading to space later this month. NASA astronaut Ricky Arnold is currently in Russia preparing to launch to the International Space Station again, and he joins us live from Star City, Russia this morning. Good morning from your home state of Maryland, Ricky.
Oh, good morning. It's so great to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you. You're preparing for launch. What happens in these final days before you venture to the space station?
We just finished our final exams over here. We do a couple days of long simulations to kind of get approval from the folks, the training team here, to go down to Baikonur and finish our preparations to launch. We leave for Kazakhstan on Sunday. We'll go down and take a look at our spacecraft, get things just the way we want them, and then we launch on the 21st. So it's going to be here pretty quickly.
You seem pretty relaxed and, of course, very excited. Now, this is you're going back to space again. So kind of compare and contrast what it was like then and what it's like now in these final days.
Well, my first mission was kind of like a 2-week, I wouldn't say it was a 2-week vacation, but I wasn't gone that long. So there was a lot of preparation that went into it, and it was a challenging and rewarding mission. But I had to prepare to be gone for months this time. So a lot of it is just finishing up the final training we need to do, making sure all the things are taken care of home, with my family situated. So just the longer time in space requires that much more preparation.
You are a teacher here in Maryland. Now you will continue NASA's Year of Education on station. What specifically will you be doing in this very unique classroom?
I am still a Maryland certified teacher, which I'm very proud of. A few things. I want to shine a light, like my colleague Joe Acaba, who just landed, on the teaching profession. We trust teachers around the world with our most precious resource, our children. And we have amazingly talented people who've dedicated their lives to that. And just to say thank you to them, want to make sure people understand what an amazing platform the ISS is for education. We're going to have some direct contacts with students and teachers around the world and in the U.S. as well. And finally, we're going to, as kind of a tribute to the Challenger crew, we're going to complete some of the lessons that Krista McAuliffe had hoped and aspired to conduct when she flew on the Space Shuttle Challenger.
I've got goosebumps just talking about that. All right, well, Ricky, best of luck. We will certainly be following your journey, and best of luck from here in Maryland all the way up to the space station. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. We're looking forward to watching a few O's games while we're up there, too. So I'll be following along what's going on in Baltimore this summer with great interest.
Good morning. How are you today? Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. Is this Amanda?
This is.
Well, great to talk to you.
You too. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for calling in.
Happy to. So what are you looking forward to most about this launch and this mission?
I had the opportunity to help finish build the International Space Station. Played a very small part, but I was kind of one of the construction crews that went up there to help finish construction. And I'm really looking forward to just having the opportunity to live there and work there for an extended period of time.
And then, so how long will you be up there, and when are you launching?
We launch on March 21st. It's right in the middle of the day on the East Coast, so it'll be easy to watch on NASA TV. And the current landing date is scheduled for August 29th.
And so talk a little bit about this mission and what you'll be doing.
Well, we're up there to conduct science primarily. We'll be conducting over 200 and some science experiments during the time we're there. We're responsible for maintaining and repairing the space station if needed. And we also are going to be highlighting education, the year of education. We're going to spend quite a bit of time trying to make contacts with students and teachers and have some great demonstrations that teachers can use in the classroom.
And you'll be connecting with folks back home in Western Maryland too, right?
That is correct. I think we actually will have a downlink with some of the pre-service teachers at Frostburg University, where I went to school.
And that's got to be really special for you, right?
Oh, of course. You know, it's I'm incredibly thankful for the education I received there, and it's always good to reconnect with old friends and the next generation of teachers.
So, what are you doing to prepare for this mission?
Well, we're done. We finished our final exams. We still have some studying and preparation to do to get ready for launch. We head down to the Baikonur Cosmodrome in a few days. Well, we'll make the final preparations in the spaceship, and then we launch on the 21st.
And how many space missions does this make for you?
This will be my second time.
So definitely, I'm sure, exciting for you personally, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a thrill to be a part of this program and to get to go do these kind of things.
So what's the best part about being a part of this mission, do you think?
The camaraderie, you know, being part of a crew that's going up to do something complicated and challenging, but rewarding is very exciting. And also just the opportunity to look back at Earth.
Now, what do you say to kids who are looking to get into the STEM field?
Study science and math and find something you love to do and do it to the best of your ability. There's a lot of amazing jobs out there for them.
And I'm sure it's exciting to conduct experiments in space because you really kind of you have an idea, obviously, of what you think is going to happen, but who knows, right? That's what's exciting.
Right. And that's why we do it there. We can do the exact same experiment on Earth, but when you remove the variable of gravity, the outcome could very well be different. And so that's one of the reasons we use the space station as a science platform.
So what are some of the things that you want to get out there for folks about this mission and just about the space station in general?
Just that I think it's one of the finest things we have done, where people from different parts of the world speaking different languages with different cultures came together and decided that the peaceful exploration of space was worth the investment and the time, and we're making amazing things happen together.
And folks definitely need to follow along online, right? They can do that?
Absolutely. They can follow online. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. There'll be a few pictures I'll send down. And NASA TV is always there as an option online as well.
So any Frostburg State stuff that you're going to be taking up there with you?
Well, I don't want to give away secrets, but if there's some pictures later, there'll be some good things.
All right, so folks definitely need to keep an eye out, right?
I would hope so. That'd be awesome.
Anything else that you want to get out there for folks?
Just, just keep in mind the possibilities. The space station is all about possibilities. People who had a kind of a crazy dream came together and made it happen, and I think it's a really good life lesson.
Well, thank you again so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time. Great to talk to you.
Happy to. Good to talk to you, too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have a message on.
Hi, Ricky. Greetings from Frostburg, Maryland. This is Charles Shalee with Frostburg State University News and Media Services.
Hey, Charles. How are you? Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, Ricky. Hey, what does it mean to you to go back to your teaching roots in space with a year of education on station mission?
Oh, it's incredibly exciting. Just through a coincidence of the flight plan, we actually had a year where there will be Joe Acaba just landed. He'd been on space for 6 months, and I'm actually going to replace him. And just to have the opportunity to shine a light on the teachers in our nation's classrooms and highlight the kind of stuff we can do on the ISS for education, it's just really very exciting.
Awesome. So what does it mean to you to complete Chris McCall's experiments and lessons, and what role did you play in deciding to use these lessons?
It's very humbling to be a part of that, because she meant so many things to so many people. To me, it's just about kind of carrying the torch and handing it off to the next generation. I think this is something that has been in the back of folks' minds for a long time, and I'm just kind of lucky to be there and be able to play a small part in it.
Did you have to make any updates to her lessons because of the advancement in science since the 80s?
That's a good question. I think the demonstrations are pretty simple scientific principles, so they'll be accessible for just about anyone. The lesson plans have been coming from the Challenger Center, so I know they have made some modifications based on what ISS has to offer. But by and large, I think they're trying to honor the spirit and the intent of what Krista hoped to do back in 1986.
Oh, that's really fascinating. Are there any experiments or lessons that involve your marine science background at all?
Not that I'm currently aware of. It was funny. I was just talking to my graduate advisor, called from the University of Maryland, and spent a lot of time in graduate school scuba diving. And when we do a spacewalk, a lot of those same principles apply getting ready to go do a spacewalk and then also coming back from a spacewalk because of the pressure differences. It's very similar to what you do when you dive. However, I think the underlying principles that you learn in any scientific endeavor are going to suit all of us well. I'm flying with a couple geoscientists, and they hope to take some pictures of specific geologic features, but the day-to-day science, they just need someone who understands and speaks the language of science.
That's great. How did Frostburg State prepare you in your journey to teach in space?
I was really lucky at that university because you had a very great relationship with your professors in a small environment like that. Frostburg being a smaller university when I was there, I know it's grown some since then. we're going to be in a very small confined space for a long time. And I think some of the interpersonal skills I learned while in university are going to suit me well. And certainly the background and critical thinking and all the things that I learned while at Frostburg are certainly going to help too.
I'm going to throw a little fun question at you. You're going to be spending 171 days in space. I'm wondering, do you have a good mixtape for the galaxy? Do you have some good tunes to listen to?
Yeah, I sent up a pretty good sized file of music of all different kinds. So I'll have plenty of music to get me through the 170 some days, whatever it turns out to be.
For being up in space for that long, what kind of impact do you think it'll have on your body during that length of time?
Well, that's one of the experiments we're doing, right? We go up there and we're pretty heavily monitored for the physiological changes that will occur. And we come back and try to figure out ways to mitigate those. And I feel that's one of the real contributions is we're going to have a huge data set of people who spent a long time in space. And how do we prepare folks to become an interplanetary species, which I think we are. We're going to need to be able to protect people from those changes and to help them recover from them when they get to the destination to get back. And that's one of the things we're really learning.
Great. And you mentioned earlier you're a certified Maryland teacher.
Right.
How can you go into that a little bit about if you go into classrooms or even maybe surprise a science class as a substitute?
I wish I had time to do that in my current job, but unfortunately I don't. The Maryland State Department of Education, one of the requirements to keep your certification is professional development. And they've been kind enough to count all the training and things I've done here at NASA as continuing education, which it really has been, which has enabled me to keep my certification in my home state, which I'm really proud to have.
Hi, Ricky. This is Ray Paoletta, space editor at Inverse. How's it going? How are you feeling right now?
Hi, Ray. Going great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. What are you feeling right now as you prepare to go to the ISS?
Mostly trying to get my bags packed to get ready to go down to Kazakhstan. We have a pretty quick EVA, a spacewalk when we arrive at the States. So we're doing a little bit of preliminary studying to get ready for that. And making sure we have all we need to take with us.
Do you have anything special packed, like any movies or music that you plan on listening to?
Yeah, most of my items are already up on space station. Really, what I need to have together is what I physically need in the Soyuz to help operate the Soyuz to get us from Earth to low Earth orbit.
Mm-hmm. And what do you plan on watching or listening to once you're up there?
Well, I'm not a huge TV watcher, so I would imagine I will spend a fair bit of time when I have free time looking out the window and hopefully taking some good pictures of Earth. But I will have an iPod full of music, and we're able to pick TV shows and ebooks that we can watch or read in our spare time. And I think there's a pretty good selection of stuff. We've been up there for quite some time.
Very cool. And speaking of looking out the window, or just looking into space, rather, I just would love to get your opinion on something as an astronaut. Earlier this month, obviously, SpaceX sent the Tesla into space, and I'm just wondering, as an astronaut, what you think about sending these kinds of payloads.
Sending what kind of payloads? I'm sorry?
Oh, just the Tesla Roadster, cars, things like that.
Elon Musk is a good businessman. It was very exciting to watch that launch and think about the capabilities it might bring us further down the road. And I'm sure he was not disappointed to have a lot of people looking at this beautiful Tesla out cruising in space with a fake astronaut in it.
What do you think about the little Starman guy on board?
It was fun to watch.
And what are you most excited about doing on board the ISS once you get there?
Just having the opportunity to live there, and work there. My last trip was a short duration mission, and we were there to help finish building the space station. And now to kind of just go spend an extended amount of time living and working in space and enjoying the facility constructed up there.
And can you just talk briefly about some of the experiments that you'll be doing?
We'll be doing over 200 and some experiments while we're there, in all disciplines of science. The one that I am most interested in is the one that all astronauts dislike the most, and that's where we're the test subject to figure out how living in space for long periods of time changes our bodies. And but I think we need to do that. It's necessary if we're serious about becoming an interplanetary species, which I believe we will be.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the exercises that astronauts have to do? Speaking of, how your body changes in space.
Yeah, we have a couple hours a day timeline just for exercise while we're in space, and we have a treadmill, we have an exercise bicycle, and we also have it's a weightlifting device, but it's a resistive exercise device. So all the standard things you would do in a gym, squats and squats and pull downs and all the basic exercise you do on any piece of exercise equipment at gym, we do that on a daily basis too.
Good morning. This is Catherine Gonzalez calling from the Cradle of Aviation in New York.
Hi, Catherine. How are you today?
Oh, how are you? I wanted to kind of go back to your impressions of Apollo 11's landing on the moon when you were a kid and what you thought that was like.
I don't have specific memories of that mission. I do have memories of some of the later missions, and as a kid watching that, it was very, very foundational for me. And to be honest, I thought by this time we would have been out on Mars and bases on the moon and everything else. It was a time of immense imagination and excitement. But I think we learned that living and working in space is really challenging. It takes quite some time. As one of my crewmates likes to say, we like to think we're the Jetsons, but we're really the Flintstones when it comes to operating in space at this point. So I think all those dreams I had as a child will come true. It's just going to take a little bit more time than I'd hoped.
Sure. When did you decide to become an astronaut?
It was something I was interested in as a kid, but it really wasn't until later in my career when I had already become a teacher and decided it was worth at least applying and seeing what happened. So I had already been teaching for, I think, 12, 13 years before I even applied to become an astronaut.
When, in being a teacher and working with kids in schools and having that experience being in the classroom, what advice would you give kids who might want a career in space exploration or in engineering?
You pick a discipline that you enjoy and pursue it to the best of your abilities. If you want to work in the space program, which is a really exciting place to work, science and mathematics are the tools that are going to get you there.
Okay. And where do you think the future of the space program is going to be?
Well, I think the space station is a good model. I think anything we're going to do together as a collectively as a planet, with international partners who play vital roles in certain parts of the mission. And I think we're going to go out into deep space and go on to other planets, and we're going to do it together as a species rather than just as a nation.
Okay, excellent. And do you think we should, I know there's been a lot of talk in recent months about us possibly going back to the moon. Do you think we should head back to the moon, or should we go directly to Mars? What are your thoughts on, that future progression?
Logically to me, and I'm not an engineer. Logically to me, from an operational standpoint, though, it would seem going to the moon as a place to verify our technology and the operational concepts. The moon is only 4 days away, but it's a long way still. And to figure out how we're going to operate there collectively and then go on to Mars. To me, that's what makes sense logically, but that's just my opinion.
Fabulous. And I know on this mission, you spent some days working, you did some EVAs and things like that. How was your experience kind of being out and working on the space station?
That was absolutely the most thrilling, mind-boggling, and time of my life. I'll never forget those 12 hours or so that I got to spend outside the space station, just kind of floating along with the Earth beneath my feet. It was a really special moment, or a special series of moments.
Sure. And how long do you typically do an EVA for? How many hours are you outside of the spacecraft?
We target about 6.5 hours outside the spacecraft, and which would leave us in the spacesuit for about 10 hours. So with only water to drink. So it's a really long day, and it's very physically and mentally demanding. But the views are unparalleled.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your time this morning. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in.
Rain and wind is coming our way. Breezy through the day with a high of 55 degrees. Overnight tonight, that breeze becomes a wind with gusts to 55 miles an hour. We're seeing a nor'easter forming over us. Overnight low at 38. Wind advisories already out. There'll be more counties added to this advisory graphic, and we could end up with high wind warnings before it's over, said, and done with. Christy, let's talk traffic. Take it away.
Well, Marty, the west side of the outer loop has been a problem all morning. Now the delay has stretched out even longer. It begins at 795. It's going to last over to Southwestern Boulevard. There's a look at your current drive at 70. Situation remains the same on the outer loop from Harvard Road to Green Spring Avenue. 52 miles per hour average, 12 minutes to get by. If you're traveling along southbound 295, that is all in the red there from 198 to the Capitol Beltway. Schwann Road, looking good, but the problem is southbound as you make your way towards Mount Carmel. And we still have that accident in Falston, Baldwin Mill Road at Green Road. Lynn, back to you.
All right, this morning's Copy With is with Ricky Arnold.
And the satellite interview is furnished by NASA. We go live
to Russia.
Ricky, how's it going? Welcome back. What's up, man?
Doing great, but the weather there sounds shocking.
Well, you know what? You'll appreciate it. We're going to get a nor'easter. It's going to get rainy and windy, but at least it's not going to be snowing. What's the weather in Russia right now? Give us a report.
It was about -10 last night Fahrenheit, so it is cold and crisp, and we got a lot of snow on the ground.
Wow. So March 21st, right, you are launching off to the International Space Station again.
Absolutely. It'll actually be in the middle of the day in Maryland, so folks can tune in to NASA TV. I think it's 12:45 Eastern time, so it'd be great if some friends of mine and family would follow along from NASA TV.
We will be doing that. Hey, Ricky, let's talk about this education initiative that you're going to be taking part in during your time on the International Space Station, because ultimately you're a teacher. Take it away.
Oh, yeah, it's very exciting. In fact, I'm still a Maryland certified teacher. So, and I'm very honored to still be certified in the state of Maryland to teach students science and math. We want to shine a light on the amazing people in our nation's and world's classrooms who spend time with our kids every day and really have committed their lives to making, providing for our kids. We want to highlight the International Space Station as a great platform for education. We're going to have some live downlinks, folks in Maryland, including Goddard Space Flight Center and up at Frostburg, and even down at Wallops in Virginia on the Eastern Shore. And we're going to finish the experiments Kristen McAuliffe wanted to accomplish on the Challenger mission. So we've got a lot on our plate. Very excited to go do it.
activities on social media. We follow all your tweets and Facebooks and Instagrams.
Oh, I appreciate you following along.
What's your Twitter handle? Astro Ricky? Seriously?
Yeah, Astro_Ricky.
Out of sight. Any spacewalks planned for you? Because you're a veteran spacewalker. 13 hours out in the void. Anything up?
Yeah, we have right now. It looks like shortly after our arrival, Drew Feustel and I will be going out on the 29th of March if the plan holds, and probably a couple more at some point scattered throughout the mission. So very excited to go have that experience again.
Well, as you pass over at 16,500 miles an hour, be sure and give us a wave.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, my last mission, it was really cloudy in Maryland a lot, and the clear days we flew over were at night. So I'm hoping to get some great pictures of my home state and all the people down there that I know and love and care about, and get some great pictures. Although we won't be able to pick out faces, but you'll be in there.
Hey, Ricky, it's great talking to you. Again, you make us proud. You, Terry, Reed, heck, everybody. It's just really a thrill. Huns in space, as we call it here on TV, have the best mission, a safe mission, and they have the time of your life, man.
Yeah, we'll talk to you when you come back.
Thank you so much. My grandmother would love to have heard that.
God bless you, man. We'll talk to you.
Thank you. Look forward to catching up again when I get back.
special interview planned right now. Randy Siegel is joining us. Randy, why don't you tell us who our special guest is this morning?
Well, Rick Arnold, astronaut, getting ready to go to the International Space Station.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Oh, doing well, excited and ready to go.
So tell me, how do you expect the Soyuz vehicle to be different from the shuttle that you flew previously?
Well, I can, from an ergonomic standpoint, I'm a bit taller than most folks who fly in the Soyuz, and so it was not designed for people my size. So it's it's quite a physical test of endurance, but it's an amazing machine. To be able to ride that iconic vehicle like the space shuttle is a real honor, and it's an amazing machine.
Well, originally, weren't you supposed to fly a 2-orbit rendezvous as opposed to a 2-day rendezvous?
They were hopeful that we would be able to do that, and they verify that capability with the unmanned cargo vehicles that they launch, and they were not able to test it, so they're going to continue testing it until they're comfortable on an unmanned vehicle or an uncrewed vehicle before they put a crew and fly that new profile.
Do you have any spacewalks planned during your mission?
We do. We have one shortly after we arrive on the 29th, and there's probably a couple more planned spacewalks we will do, depending on visiting vehicle traffic. And you just never know what the space station something makes. We might end up with some unplanned spacewalks as well.
Now, are you scheduled to make those spacewalks?
Yeah, Drew Feustel and I are flying up together. We'll do a first spacewalk, and then we'll see what the planners decide for the rest of the mission.
Well, I know that on each flight, the commander of the Soyuz picks a little talisman to tell you when you're in weightlessness. What do you have planned for this one?
We have a couple of items, but the call sign for our vehicle is Hawaii. And there's quite a long story behind that, but we will have something as a zero gravity indicator that will celebrate that call sign.
How does it feel to leave your? Go ahead. You were saying.
No, I'm listening. Waiting for your question.
Oh, how does it feel to leave your family for 6 months as you go to the International Space Station?
That's probably the most daunting part of the mission, to be perfectly honest. But they're well taken care of. They have a great family support plan, and the communication with the ground is really good. We'll be in good contact on a regular basis, but of course it's not the same being home, and that's kind of the sacrifice we make and the sacrifice the family makes to do what we do.
Did they go with you to Moscow during your training period?
A couple of my family members were able to come out for a short stay in Moscow during my training period, and I'm hopeful that my wife and my 2 daughters will make it to Kazakhstan to actually watch the launch.
Rick, is there any one goal that you're looking for on this mission?
Well, we're celebrating the year of education on station, and if one thing I would like to walk away from is that we do a really good job of highlighting and shining a light on the classroom teachers in the United States and around the world who spend every day with our children and have committed their lives to helping nurture and grow our children. And so if nothing else, I just shine a light on this. I know how much we appreciate it.
Last question, Randy.
Well, we certainly appreciate your taking the time to talk with us today, and we wish you Godspeed on your mission.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for calling in. It's an honor to talk to you.
My pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
Take care. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Arnold. Do you hear me well?
I hear you well. Good morning.
Greetings from Washington, D.C. This is Voice of America Russian Service.
Nice to talk to you.
And my first question is, your colleagues from the previous mission just successfully landed. Did you already have a chance to see them after that?
I did not, because they land in Kazakhstan. I'm currently in Star City, Russia, and they fly straight back to Ellington Field in Houston. So I've not had a chance to see him. The cosmonaut colleague is here, but he's currently in quarantine. So hopefully we'll get to see Sasha before we leave. But no, I'll probably talk to him on the phone after I get to the space station.
All right. So there are 2 Americans who came back from orbit, and you are 2 Americans who are going to fly to orbit. Is this a special agreement or a schedule that specifically this number of Americans and this number of Russians should be present on the ISS?
Yeah, you're very observant to pick up on that. It's kind of a confluence of events. We had some seats come available on rather short notice, based on the Russian flight, the Roscosmos flight plan, and also some agreements with Boeing Corporation. So it's kind of an unusual turn of events, but this was the way at least from the USOS side, we had always planned to have 4 crew members on the USOS side at a full complement of 7. So I think it gives us a sense of what we'll be able to accomplish when we do have a full complement on the International Space Station, both on the Russian segment and the USOS side.
You probably heard about this current administration plans to cut funding of ISS by 2025. Have you any opinion on that, or your colleagues? Are you worried about the future?
I'm not. We've been kind of busy. We had our final exams last week, so to be honest, I haven't been paying much attention to budgetary requests in Washington. But I think at the end of the day, the investment we've made in the space station and what we were able to accomplish together, working together on an international basis, I think folks will see value in that, and we'll fly the space station until we decide it's no longer safe to do so. So that's certainly my hope.
This is going to be your first flight on Soyuz, am I right?
That is correct.
So could you compare your experience from shuttle to Soyuz?
I mean, it's a real honor to be able to fly on both of these iconic spacecrafts. The Soyuz system is very robust. It's a lot simpler than the Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle was designed to do a whole lot of different things. The Soyuz was designed to get humans to and from Earth safely, and it does that exceptionally well. So the systems have been really interesting to learn. Soyuz was designed for smaller stature people, and I'm a little bit taller than the average cosmonaut and astronaut, so it's not quite as comfortable for me as the Space Shuttle was, but I'll sacrifice comfort for safety any day.
But given the fact that NASA is now contracting private vehicles or other companies to actually resume piloted missions of the United States, don't you think this mission on Soyuz could also be your last on the Soyuz?
Oh, it's entirely possible. You know, on the United States side, my last mission was in 2009. So so it's been 9 years since I've flown in space, almost to the day. So I realize that at any moment this could be my last mission to space, and it might be my only opportunity to fly on a Soyuz. And so I'm really going to just try to savor every moment of the experience.
But I mean, not just for you, but for all Americans, as they're going to switch to their own American vehicles.
You know, I hope that's not the case. You know, the Soyuz has been a remarkably reliable vehicle, and we learned, you know, when the space shuttle, when we had the tragic accident on the space shuttle, the Soyuz was the only vehicle was capable of getting us to and from the space station reliably. And once we started flying the shuttle again, we realized that the Soyuz was invaluable. And I like to think in the future that there's going to be a place for rotating crew members on a Soyuz as well as our own crewed vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold, for your time, and have a safe flight.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
down just a touch. There you go. Ready? Smile.
Watch it.
There you go. Good. Hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right. Looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should do some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well.
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So we're doing a recycle drain to EDV. So taking it out of the tank there into an EDV.
Right, and so you got all the methods,
compressor in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
Cut out your diplonia uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
Cut out your diplonia.
This guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure it.
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP on Optimus.
So, different, right? So with B2 and B6. Okay, so those two, Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy things. Production
Oh, yeah, I heard it all,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy. We're putting the power downs in work for that fire report.
Seconds.
Back.
Yes, 10 seconds.
Feustel and soup station from Mean 2 crew. We've estimated materials in 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 minute. Yep.
So if you hear a thump, it wouldn't close.
The person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through deep press, you'll be able to watch that. Yep. Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the descent button is up.
Descent button.
Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate.
There we go. Now we got a good white visible.
And drive to torque. Nice.
All right. Three.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
Hey, I've got a pair of those.
Have some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Feustel chicken. That's the best stuff.
Push it up, and you're watching NASA TV. Discovery, go, let's roll up.
All right, we're good, we're good. And here we go. Take your chin down just a touch. There you go. Ready? Are we smiling? Watch this. There we go. Good, hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right, looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we did some of these.
Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities. Just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region racks.
So we're doing a recycle drain to EDB. So taking it out of the tank there into an EDB.
Right, and so you got all the methods.
Compressor in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
Cut out your diplonia uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
Cut out your diplonia.
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure it.
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP on Optimus.
So, different, right? So with B2 and B6. Okay, so those two. Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy things. Production
yeah,
possibly
here we go,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy. We're putting the power downs in work for that fire report.
Seconds.
Yes, 10 seconds. Feustel and Soup station from main 2 crew. We've estimated the TOs in 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 minute. Yep.
Is that you hear it?
You wouldn't close.
The person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through depress, you'll be able to watch that.
Yep.
Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the detent button is up.
Detent button.
Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate. There we go. Now we got a good white visible. And drive to torque. Nice.
All right.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
Hey, I've got a pair of those.
Have some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Fiesta chicken. That's the best stuff.
And you're watching NASA TV. to go with throttle up.
All right, we're good, we're good. And here we go. Bring your chin down just a touch. There you go. Ready? Smile. Watch it smile. Watch it smile. There you go. Good, hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right, looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on, make sure we're looking okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should give some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region rack.
So we're doing recycle drain to EDBS, taking it out of the tank there into an EDBS.
Right, and so you got all the nut guys,
Compressor in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got to make.
Cut out your dip in, you uncapped.
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
Cut out your dip in, yeah.
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so just configure the
Procedure calls us to 3.6, but it's truncated on XTP for on Optimus.
B2 and B6. Okay, so those two. Molly. Okay. Anyways.
Sample collection.
From Gemma Columbus.
Okay, copy things. Production
I
possibly
heard it all,
in
yeah.
a couple hours. Okay, so 9.21. We'll have to get into that beginning or two.
Copy. We're putting the power downs in work for that fireboard.
Да. Yes, 10 seconds.
Feustel station from main 2 crew. We've estimated 2 hours and 45 minutes. We see about a 10-second drop. 10-second for 1 millimeter. Yep. Go ahead.
So if you hear a thump,
you wouldn't close.
The person manipulating the hatch for the EVA, as we're going through deep press, you'll be able to watch that. Of course, on your DCM, you can also watch. And you can grab on any of the other ribs on the hatch. You don't have to use the big yellow handle. Whatever you need to grab onto is all fine. So the detent button is up.
Detent button.
Locking collar is locked.
Okay.
And forward white band is not visible.
Forward night.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah.
How many inches is that? And now go ahead and remate. There we go. Now we got a good white visible. And drive to torque. Nice. All right.
Great. You know why I'm wearing these? Because it looks cool. It looks cool.
hey, I've got a pair of those.
Some asparagus.
Yeah. Hey, I want that asparagus.
Have some Fiesta chicken. That's the best stuff.
Ashida, and you're watching NASA TV. Discovery, go and throttle up.
touch. There you go. Ready?
Are we smiling? Watch this.
There we go. Good. Hang on. Reach that way, just a baby step. There you go. All right. Looking good. Here we go. Good. Good. Excellent. Hang on. Make sure we're okay.
You didn't go to the character building things of printing.
Fighting the printer.
Yeah.
Did not use it for this. But we were going to hand it to him and tell him we should give him some of these. Do you want it printed out?
Well,
For you and Ricky, your first activity, the recycle tank drain and fill activities, just letting you know those are going to be performed down at the region max.
so what are we doing? Recycle drain to EDBS, taking it out of the tank there into an EDBS.
Right, and so you got all the methods and
Compressor
everything.
in. I think I got the stuff we need. I got it.
How about you get Danny uncapped?
So I think we can go ahead and put this whole thing together, then made it, yeah.
How about you took the Danny?
Got this guy here, yeah. The P3.
That dude goes onto there, and that other guy goes up here. 2.5, but this is the part where we put our nitrile gloves.
Okay.
And then connect the rest of the hoses, so we just configure the
Checkity, checkity, check. Oh, all right. Drew, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Drew, before we get started, will you tell me how to pronounce your last name?
If you could see it and understand it in Russian, it would be easy, but it's pronounced Feustel.
Feustel. Great.
Yep.
Before we get started, Brady, can I ask you a question? I have myxomatous in my ear, so I'm hearing myself back after 2 seconds. I don't know if that's something.
The speaker on his end.
Okay. All right, then never mind. All right, Drew, I think we're good to go. Can I have somebody in our engineering give me a thumbs up and let me know if we're ready to roll? We're good to go? Okay, cool. Well, Drew, I know we're the first of your morning, so I appreciate you doing this and spending time with us this morning. You've got a big couple of weeks ahead of you before you actually embark and leave the Earth and go to space. So I want to talk about that with you. I know you're going to be the flight engineer for Expedition 55 and then the commander for 56. What does that entail? What does it mean that your responsibilities are?
As a flight engineer, my job is really to get to learn the space station and understand how things are going up there as I get accustomed to being in space for longer periods of time than I had before. And then eventually, after a month or two, when the current crew leaves, I'll take over as commander. And what that means for me is, at that point, I take on responsibility for the safety of the crew, the safety of the spacecraft, and mission assurance for the whole flight.
You guys are expected to launch March 21st. When does that mean you'll be coming home?
Right now, I believe we're slated to depart the space station on August 28th, which, interestingly enough, is a couple of days after my birthday. So I'll get to spend a birthday in space this time around.
Well, I think that's probably still a noteworthy way to spend your birthday. You know, you're not with family necessarily, but it's still worthwhile. So, you know, when you are doing the things that you are doing, a lot of people are going to want to claim you. I know the state of Michigan claims you because you were raised there. Purdue claims you as well because you got your bachelor's and master's there. let's talk about that time you spent in college and what Purdue meant to you and your career now.
Well, you know that Purdue University has a great history of producing engineers and scientists and researchers and folks of all different careers around the world, and it's not unusual to run into a Purdue graduate in all walks of life. And for me, it was a natural choice. We have a family history with the school dating back to the early 1900s, and it was a natural choice for me to decide to attend Purdue. And I couldn't be prouder of the accomplishments of the university and the great work that they still do in research and science.
Well, you mentioned the rich history, even for astronauts, right? It's called the Cradle of Astronauts. Scott Tingle, when he went up to the International Space Station in the fall, he became the 23rd astronaut from Purdue. You'd already gone on 2 space flights before this, so you had already been counted in that list. When you intersect with him up on the ISS here in the next couple of weeks, do you trade secret handshakes? Do you have something special that you guys do with Purdue grads?
Well, Scott and I are looking forward to doing some great outreach with Purdue University and celebrating that great history. We're both proud of that heritage, and I think the school's proud to claim us, and we hope, in fact, the newest class of astronauts that were just selected in 2017 also has a Purdue graduate, a master's degree. And so we're excited to continue that heritage and encourage the next generation of space explorers. But a lot of it started with Purdue, and we're continuing on in that great tradition.
Well, Drew, thanks so much for your time. We know you got a long list of interviews to do, so best of luck to you.
Thanks for reaching out, and hello to everybody in Indiana, and I look forward to returning and telling the stories about space exploration once we get back from the mission.
Good morning, Drew. This is Ian from Detroit. How you doing?
Hello, Ian, and hello, Detroit. Thanks for calling in today.
Yeah, no problem. You are from Lake Orion, right?
That's correct. I originally started out in Royal Oak, Michigan, and eventually moved out to Lake Orion.
Royal Oak is where I grew up, so that's great. So what's it like going from Lake Orion to the space station? Like, what's going through your mind?
How did I get here from there is what goes through my mind just about every day. But I can tell you an interesting story about where I grew up in Lake Orion. You may be familiar with a community called Keatington. And on the street that I grew up on in Keatington was called Saturn Drive. And in fact, the whole neighborhood in that area has streets named after great explorers and great exploration programs. So Armstrong Drive was there, Gemini was there, Mercury was there. It was an interesting place to grow up, and I didn't realize at the time in middle school and high school that all those street names were going to eventually maybe lead me to space exploration myself. But proud to call Lake Orion my home, and I always look forward to getting back to Michigan when I can.
And when will that be exactly?
Return to Michigan, I hope sometime after the flight. I think you know I'm an Oakland Community College graduate, and I like sharing the stories of the work that I did at OCC and how that led me to university and on to a PhD. And as an individual from Detroit, I like to think of myself as a bit of a gearhead and spent a lot of time working on cars and exposed to the auto industry. So I consider Detroit and the heritage there to having had a lot to do with the work that I do now as an astronaut, and really shaped me and helped me to gain the skills that I've needed to do the work that I do today.
Right on. So I got a real tough question. What food will you miss the most while you're in the space station?
Well, that's a good question, and I can tell you that just this morning when I got up, I made some pancakes with maple syrup and blueberries, and as I was cooking the pancakes, even burning a couple of them, I thought to myself, I'll even miss burned pancakes, and so that was those were my thoughts this morning. I'm going to miss pancakes and maple syrup for sure.
What about like Detroit-style pizza or Coney dogs?
We don't have any of that stuff in space, and it'll be something to look forward to on return to Earth in September.
Right on. So, last thing you want to do is bring like a virus up there. Are you going to be like quarantined before launch?
Yeah, we're pretty close to quarantine period now. We like to set ourselves aside from the general population about 2 weeks before launch, and we're just about to that point. So it's within the next few days, we'll start to limit our contact with other folks, and we try to do a good job of keeping our hands clean and looking out for individuals that might be ill, and the people that we work with are very cognizant of that as well, and try to do a real good job of keeping themselves separated from us as we prepare to launch into space.
All right. So you're going to be pretty far away from your family and friends. Like, how do you plan to stay in touch? Like, are you going to be having like a Twitter account so we can all follow you?
I do have a Twitter and Instagram account. Those have been active for over a year now, and that's Astro_Feustel, my last name. And I try to post information about training and my experiences and family events as well in preparation for launch. So we look forward to continue sharing the story of space and the work that we do in space. I would encourage folks, especially from Detroit, to follow along and watch one of their own, continue the great work that we do on ISS to look for ways to make life better for us here on the planet.
So will you give us a little shout out if you ever fly over Michigan on Twitter or Instagram?
I will absolutely give a shout out, and I'll do my best to get some good shots of the Great Lakes state as well. It's pretty easy to see from space, and it makes for some real beautiful photos up there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Drew. I hope you have a safe trip.
Thanks for your time today.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How about, can you hear me as well?
I think you can. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a little cold over here and outside of Moscow. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, tell me about this mission that you're about to embark on here.
Well, I'm just about to launch into space for 5.5 to 6 months, and it's a little unique from my previous 2 space flights that were 2 weeks. And it's going to be an opportunity for me to actually live and work in space as opposed to just visiting. So it's going to be an exciting time, a little longer away from home than I'm used to, but nonetheless, a great opportunity to continue some great science up on the International Space Station.
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing while you're up there with these research investigations?
Yeah, I like to speak in general terms because we do literally hundreds of experiments over the course of the time that we're there, but generally we focus on research that's related to earth sciences, human and health science, global education, innovative technologies, and space research. So we cover a lot of topics. Our job is really to be the hands, eyes, and ears of researchers who design experiments and have them sent to space. And the goal is to not only learn about living and working in space, but ultimately to look for opportunities to make life better for people on Earth as well. So our job is to keep those experiments working, make sure nothing breaks down, and make sure that the infrastructure of the space station continues to operate to support those activities.
What are you looking forward to most now that you have this chance to live on a space station?
I'm looking forward to the views of Earth from space, and I have to believe that for every astronaut, That is one of the most unique aspects of being in space. In fact, many of us will state that if we could just have every human on the planet be able to have that vantage point of Earth, I think it would change us as a species and probably force us all to have a stronger desire to work better together as a single planet.
Well, how do you get ready for a big launch like this?
Well, you try not to overeat because launching things into space is expensive, and the more weight you add on, the more expensive it gets. But we spent the last 22 months training for launching on the Russian Soyuz rocket, and that's allowed me an opportunity to learn how to fly that spacecraft. And we also spend time in Houston at the Johnson Space Center looking at the activities that will be required of us day to day for daily operations. And again, that's to make sure we keep the light bulbs changed out and the heat working and the toilet operating properly. So all those activities and items that you would normally do, making sure your house is going to function for a year or two, is the same thing we have to do while we're in space, just to make sure everything keeps working the way we need it to.
Well, from someone who's never been to space before, what goes through your mind when you're in a rocket launching into space? Are you more anxious to take off or while you're up there?
I would say there's a bit of anxiety just as the countdown is approaching 0. And for me, on my previous 2 missions, I guess I became a little bit fatalistic, just realizing that it was now or never. In the next 8 minutes of my life, I was either going to see space or not. And, we plan for the worst, but hope for the best. And knock on wood, we'll continue with the great successes that we've had and continue to push the frontier of space exploration.
Well, thank you so much for making time available for us today. I want to wish you good luck on your journey. It was nice to meet you.
You bet. Thanks for calling out from Michigan, and hello to all the viewers out there. Hope everybody watches on NASA TV on March 21st when we launch out into space.
Sounds good.
All right. Hi, Drew. This is Lauren Slogter calling from the Ann Arbor News and MLive. Thanks for taking the time for this today.
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for calling. Ann Arbor is one of my favorite cities. I've got some relatives there as well.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. So my first question for you is, can you see the Great Lakes from outer space? And if so, what do they look like from up there?
Yeah, absolutely. We can see the Great Lakes. In fact, it's one of the easiest geographical features to identify from space. And in fact, the space station is only about 250 miles above the planet. And if you think about that in terms of distance, it's probably like the distance between Detroit and West Lafayette, Indiana, right? It's not that far away. And so from space, we can see all the Great Lakes at once. And I can tell you that one of the most amazing sights that I ever had from space was during my first mission in 2009. As I was flying over the state of Texas, I could look across the country and I could see Michigan in its entirety and all of the Great Lakes as I flew over my home in Texas. And it was just a beautiful sight to behold, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And that memory sticks in my mind more than just about any other image I've seen from space.
Wow, oh, that's great. So what's involved in your final preparations at this point for the launch in a few weeks?
I would say a lot of it is sort of mental preparation at this point. We've spent the last 22 months training in a simulator to learn to fly the Russian Soyuz spacecraft to get us to the space station. And now with just a few weeks left, there's some technical and domestic family issues just to take care of and wrap up, make sure we've got all our ducks in a row and taking care of all of our personal effects. So that's important as we get ready to launch, but with the support of our family and friends, we're ready to go and looking forward to a great opportunity to spend 6 months on the space station.
Okay. And then what is the actual launch like? Is that kind of a stressful or hectic time? Do you get excited or nervous the day of?
Well, I think of it as Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and we don't have a simulation that prepares us for space flight. So the only way you find out how it is when you actually climb on the rocket and go through it. And it is a little nerve-wracking as the countdown approaches 0. And when the rocket takes off, there is no question that you've left the planet. And your only hope is that the guidance system knows where it's going, because you're not going to be sitting on the ground anymore. It's just a great experience. The first time I launched into space was the fear of the unknown. The second time was the fear of the known. And this time I'm guessing it'll be a combination of both, because I'm actually riding as the co-pilot on the Soyuz spacecraft. And I've got a little more work to do heading uphill this time. But it's going to be an exciting ride nonetheless.
Okay. And what do you think that you'll miss most over the next few months while you're on this mission?
I will miss my wife the most over the next few months on the space station, and of course my kids as well. But you miss planet Earth, you miss the smell of the dirt, you miss the trees, you miss the air and the wind, and those things are not something you can easily experience in space, or we can't at all. And so I look forward to the time of touchdown when we can actually open the hatch and re-experience all those great things of our beautiful planet.
Do you do any kind of a special last meal before you launch, or I don't know if you did before you left the United States?
Sometimes. There are a few traditions. I'm not going to share them all with you, but just to suffice it to say that we are all a little bit superstitious, and in the sense that we like to carry on traditions that have been carried out in the past, just to make sure that we ensure success for everybody and those that follow after us.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for the call today. Hi to Ann Arbor.
Okay. Hi, Drew. It's Bridget Murray Law here from the Asha Leader.
Hi, Bridget. Great to hear from you. I'm glad you got an opportunity to call in today.
Me too. So I just got the good news that the Annie Glenn Award, American Speech Language Hearing Association Annie Glenn Award, is going to be taken aboard your flight. And how does Annie Glenn and her life of advocacy for those with communication challenges inspire you as you prepare for the launch?
Well, I think you know that my wife is a speech-language pathologist, and she's had a great influence in my life. But also, if you look back in history, of course, with Annie Glenn and the Annie Glenn Award and the relations to John Glenn, one of our early explorers, we see how communication has played such a big role in not only the lives of astronauts personally, but also professionally, because as you know, communication is key to everything we do. It's critical for mission control operations. It's critical for spacecraft operations. And it's also critical for the interpersonal communications that we share, not only on the International Space Station, but in training here in Russia as we prepare to launch into space. So for us, communication is key, the way we communicate. And that's really the foundation for our success in space and space exploration. And I think it's really unique that the Annie Glenn Award can be celebrated again with its great history and not only professional relations through communication to the space program, but also those personal relationships that I have with my wife, the speech-language pathologist, that John Glenn had with Annie and her communication difficulties, and also during STS-134 when Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords was wounded. She also went through some significant challenges and had some great successes with speech-language pathologists and communication specialists that allowed her recovery that she has that she's seen today. So those events and those activities in history have affected us all personally, but also professionally. And I'm just happy to celebrate the work that you all do and try to find a little way to do that. And I think taking the Mini Annie Glenn Award to space is a great way to try to convey that.
Great. And have you been doing kind of communication have you been doing right now as you prepare for launch? Like, can you give us an example?
Well, I mean, this is a great example right now is the outreach that we do with media outlets and folks that are interested in our story to learn more about space and exploration. So we use social media, we use webcasting. Of course, I communicate every day with my wife back in the States, and we work every day with our Russian colleagues in the spacecraft as we train as well. So standard operations, which is the types of things that you're doing back in the States, so we do the same things here. And as we share information between our space program in the United States and the space program here in Russia, that constant flow and exchange of information is critical to allowing us to be well prepared for the launch that's ahead of us.
And how do you communicate with the Russians? Do you have an interpreter, or how does that work?
No, we don't have an interpreter. We can't fly an interpreter to space with us on the spacecraft. So we learn to speak Russian, and the Russians learn to speak English, and we usually find a happy medium somewhere in between. And that allows us to be effective and good communicators, and allows us to be successful in the spacecraft.
Wow, you learn Russian.
I'm trying. They say only the first 10 years are hard, and that's proven to be true.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, thank you very much, Drew. I really appreciate your time this morning.
And thanks for calling. Thanks for calling and reaching out, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you more as the flight progresses.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to looking at some pictures of you, hopefully with the Annie Glenn Award up there.
Yep, you bet. Keep an eye out for that stuff.
Okay, thanks a lot, and have a great flight.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hello. Good morning, Dr. Feustel.
Hello, Queen's University.
Yes, it's Queens and Kingston, Ontario. My name is Peter Jeffrey, and I'm with Communications with the university, and I'm with writer Ian Coots.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Can you both see me all right?
Yep. Looking good.
Ready?
Yep.
So it's great to speak with you, and let me start off by asking you about a special event we are planning in April. We are lucky to have a chance to speak to you again from space as part of an education downlink. We are certainly looking forward to this opportunity. What are your thoughts on these space-to-Earth conversations, and why are they important?
I just want to ask, did you see my shout out to Queens, this T-shirt I'm wearing?
Yes.
Excellent. I think it's important because I believe that our role now as explorers and seniors in our field and professionals around the world really should think about the opportunities that they have to inspire the next generation of students and young individuals around the world. And so for me, this is an opportunity to reach out to talk about what I did with my career path, and get folks to consider what their options are and realize that no goal is too great for them to achieve.
Okay, that's interesting. Can we talk a little bit about Queens? Can you connect us where you are now back to being at Queens and what you got from Queens?
Absolutely. While I was at Queens, I received my degree, a PhD in geological sciences with a specialization in seismology with underground mining seismology. And the skills that I learned there were critical to some of the work I do now. I've always believed that geoscientists make good astronauts because of the geospatial skills that they bring to the table. And the work that I did at Queens was very technical in nature, and I did a lot of hands-on work in underground mining environments, so you can sort of correlate some of the challenges to working in a underground mine isolated with limited resources and limitations for rescue, some element of risk being underground, and also the technical requirements of the job in terms of installation of technical equipment, scientific equipment, and then the maintenance and upkeep of that data, the data and the equipment as well. A lot of that carries over to some of the work that we do as astronauts in space.
Okay. Speaking of your work in space, can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing while you're up there?
My job during the next 5.5 months is to really care for the space station and all of the science and research projects that are there. Astronauts are what we call operators, and our job is to ensure that the space station continues to function and is supportive of the science and research that's being carried out every day. We not only work inside the spacecraft, but also occasionally work on the exterior of the spacecraft in order to perform repairs to, again, ensure that the operational facilities stay functional and that the scientists who have designed those experiments can receive the data that they've worked so hard to try to recover from the research.
Okay. What's it like to blast off? I notice that strikes me, you're getting ready. I mean, how does that feel?
It feels a little bit unnerving to think that you're going to leave the planet. Number one, blasting off in a rocket is not something we do every day, and it's not a natural event, but it's fun. I mean, I always say if you're not smiling, you're doing something wrong. So we try to have a good time with that and just enjoy the moment for what it is. But living off the planet for 5 months, 5.5 months is something to think about. And you do have to do some long-term planning in terms of family support and personal support. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we'll do the best that we can. And I look forward to the challenge that it's going to present.
Okay. Listen, if I was a young faculty member at Queen's or a grad student, and I was interested in getting into the space program, what would you say to me? I mean, you did it. It's a long path, but I mean, can we talk about that?
Yeah, I think the key is to not lose sight of your goals and realize that even though it sounds like a cliche, you really can do anything that you want in life, and it doesn't have to be becoming an astronaut. You can be an artist, a lawyer, a president, prime minister, whatever you want. But the point is, set a goal that may seem unachievable, but just continue to keep that in your mind and stay focused on it. And eventually, I think your life will lead you down that path that will allow you to see successes that you've been dreaming about.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, and thanks for representing.
You bet. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Daniel Stark from Czech TV. Andrew Feustel,
hey,
thank you very much for joining us.
You bet, buddy. It's good to hear from you.
I hope you are doing fine and everything is okay. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yep. I'm happy that you guys had a chance to call in.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. What was the key moment of your preparation so far? What training was the most important for you technically and as a human being?
Daniel, I have to say that what the biggest challenge for me this time around has been learning to fly the Soyuz spacecraft. And as the left seater, which is like the co-pilot of the capsule, I've had to overcome some challenges with learning how to fly that spacecraft and learning about all of its systems. It's not unique to me. Many astronauts have done it before me, but it's definitely been a big challenge, and I kind of feel like I've got another university degree under my belt after these 22 months of training.
You passed the exams on February 21st and will move to Baikonur in Kazakhstan. What rules will be applied there, for instance, in terms of the quarantine, and how will further preparation for your launch proceed there?
We will go into quarantine a couple of weeks before launch, and most of the preparations will involve some daily briefings, discussions about the spacecraft, what we can expect when we get to space. And so now we're starting to think more about the operations on the International Space Station and less about the launch itself. We focused so long on learning to fly the spacecraft, and now that that's behind us, I think we have those operational skills well in hand, and we can start think about the longer-term possibilities of work that we're going to perform once we arrive on the International Space Station.
You have a very close relationship with the Czech Republic. What items will you be taking with you to the International Space Station that are related to the Czech Republic?
Well, you know, Daniel, I can't give away all the secrets, so all I'll say is keep an eye out on launch day, and we might see a surprise. But, of course, I would be remiss, and I'm sure you'll hear about it eventually if I didn't talk about taking the illustrations of Peter Gintz, the Jewish Czechoslovakian boy that spent some time in Terezin and eventually lost his life at Auschwitz, and the illustrations that I'm taking to space, which were given to me by Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, and trying to finish the story that Alain Ramon started with Columbia when he flew those same illustrations to space. And I look forward to flying those illustrations to space and returning them to Earth to complete his story, but also to keep awareness of the Holocaust in folks' minds and help people to realize that this young boy, Peter Gintz, who had the vision of drawing the Earth from Moon, that moonscape illustration was really a powerful message about believing in your dreams and the power of your mind, and realizing that although he could be captured in body, that he could never be captured in spirit. And I think those illustrations served as a light of hope for those that he shared that great tragedy with, and I hope it continues to inspire all of us on Earth to continue to do great things.
On March the 2nd, 1978, the first Czechoslovak astronaut Vladimír Remek took off to space. How do you see his importance today, as he was a citizen of the third state in history that flew into space?
Well, I think it's important. It's important for your nation, obviously, and of course, after Remek, there was a great tradition of astronauts who had strong ties to the Czech Republic, including Gene Cernan, John Blaha, and others. And those great astronauts were always proud of that heritage they had. And I'm proud through family lineage, through my wife, through marriage, with the great ties that we have with the Czech Republic, and look forward to carrying on the tradition of representing a nation in some way and carrying a little bit of the people with us. Hopefully they can share along the ride and inspire the next generations of explorers and scientists that are coming from your great nation.
We will definitely follow your expedition on ISS. What are the ways how to follow you directly?
Thanks, Daniel. So a great way is, of course, NASA.gov websites, and we're going to be continuing to tweet out on Astro Feustel on Instagram and Twitter. And in addition to that, NASA will stream the launch live on March 21st. So I hope everybody can watch and share along with the ride, and we look forward to maybe having an opportunity to come back and talk to the people of the Czech Republic after the mission and share the great and interesting stories of science and research that are going on the International Space Station after we return in the late fall.
Drew, thank you very much for the interview. I hope you will have a safe launch and safe stay on the ISS, and you will safely land back on the planet Earth. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Daniel. See ya.
Drew, Bill Harwood, CBS News over at the Kennedy Space Center. Good afternoon, and thanks for taking time to chat with us.
Hi, Bill. Great to hear from you. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm always ask you guys when you're going uphill about your impressions of the Soyuz. Obviously, you're a veteran of 2 shuttle flights. Soyuz is a different beast, but what's your impression of it? What do you think of the spacecraft?
Well, I tell you what, it's been a real treat to learn about the systems and the operation of that spacecraft. And as you know, I flew on the middeck on both of my shuttle flights, so most of my work was focused on arriving to our destination and getting outside in the spacesuit. But this time I'm going to be a little busier in the left seat, acting as a co-pilot. And it's just amazing. The spacecraft is well designed. It's got a lot of great redundant features to it. A lot of it's built on solid state technology. So we recognize that it's very functional. It has a lot of redundant systems, and it has some incredible capabilities. Its beauty is in its simplicity, and it's just been a thrill to learn about how well engineered that vehicle is. And I look forward to having a chance to operate it on the way to orbit.
I've always thought about a U.S. guy flying a left seat on Soyuz is kind of like a doctor, learning to be a doctor in a second language. I mean, how difficult was that?
Well, if you can take a geologist and put him in the left seat and teach him how to fly a spacecraft, I think that's a great feat, and it's a testament to to the training team here and the ability of us to work with our Russian colleagues, not necessarily in fluent full Russian, but in the operational language that a spacecraft presents to us. So really the key is for me to learn that operational textbook that we use, the flight data file, to get us uphill, and then understand some of the simple and straightforward commanding that needs to happen in the communication between myself and my Russian colleague in order to execute the mission. And it's been interesting, it's been challenging, but I'm happy to say that I think we've made it out on the other side of training in a very positive way. We're going to be well prepared to launch into space at the end of the month.
Tell me a little bit about your commander. What's it been like working with him?
Oleg Artemyev is one of the best guys you can meet, but honestly, I never met a cosmonaut in the last 18 years that I didn't like and get along with. We have a great relationship with these individuals. They're very professional, they're very technically skilled, and I can't speak more highly of him and having him as a crewmate. I really look forward to spending time with him on orbit, and we're joining Anton Shkaplerov. While we're there, we'll be joined by Sergei Prokopyev, all fantastic astronauts, great crewmates, and very technically competent. So we are just, it's going to be a fantastic flight, great opportunity for all of us.
And I may have some out of date information, but I think I saw three EVAs during your increment. That may have changed. I mean, obviously you're an extremely experienced EVA guy. I'm just wondering if you know yet whether you're doing any of those.
I hope I'm doing some of those, and of course, as you know, spacewalk and timing of spacewalks change all the time, so I'm not holding my breath for any of those activities, but I hope to have a chance to go outside. We may see an opportunity to head out the door shortly after we arrive, but a lot of that's going to be dependent on upcoming commercial crew not commercial crew, but supply vehicles, cargo vehicle timing, and so we'll keep our fingers crossed, and with any luck, I'll get out the door 4 times on this mission.
Roger that. I was going to ask you what you're looking forward to. I mean, as a scientist, I'm assuming it's the science, but I would also think from 2 short duration flights to a long duration stay, that's a different thing entirely. So what are you looking forward to in that sense?
Well, yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit. I am looking forward to the science, Bill, but I think what I'm really looking forward to is the opportunity to keep the space station living for another 6 months and have it well prepared to receive the next crew that comes on after us. As you know, we're the hands, eyes, and ears of the researchers, and our job is just to keep things operating and executing the science. Most of us don't make up science experiments to take to space, but we're really there to make sure everything gets done and on time, and we can ensure the success of the mission. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I think I'm a bit of a gearhead, so put my hands on it and make sure we can keep it operating is going to be a fun challenge for me.
The last question I had was, your crew will be the last one that's like the 4 USOS crew members, until commercial crew flights get going. How valuable is it to have 4 USOS folks up there doing that science?
Well, we're gonna wait and see what the results are. We've had some real positive experiences with the crew that were there, but we'll keep on the tradition and do what the ISS program needs of us. And with luck, we're gonna carry on with the commercial crew vehicles and continue to support ISS as long as we need to.
Crew, thanks a lot. Have a great flight, and look forward to talking to you in space.
Thanks, Bill. See ya.
Ben, you can introduce yourself here real quick if you want. I think it's our window now.
Hey, Drew, can you hear me?
I've got you loud and clear.
Great. This is Ben. I'm here at NBC in Indianapolis, Indiana, not far from Purdue. So good to talk to you this morning.
It's great to talk to you as well. Thanks for shouting out from Indiana. It's a place near and dear to my heart, and our family's got a long tradition of life in Indiana.
Let's talk about your experience there at Purdue, your education, and just your overall experience at the school.
Well, I started at Purdue after transferring from community college in Michigan and finished off my bachelor's degree there in solid earth sciences, or what we call geology, and then went into receive a master's degree in geophysics. And Purdue was a great opportunity for me. It was the only choice that I really made for myself leaving community college. It seemed like a natural progression based on the fact that I had a great uncle who graduated from Purdue in 1905, a father who graduated from Purdue in 1963, and an uncle who graduated from in 1965.
Do you still keep in touch with any of your professors or friends back there?
Absolutely. We've got a great relationship with the university, and we try on a regular basis to support activities and outreach for the school. And Purdue continues to produce great scientists and engineers around the world. In fact, our newest class of astronauts has another Purdue graduate in it. So we're excited to carry on the tradition. And when I get to space, I'll be joining Purdue Boilermaker Scott Tingle during his first flight to orbit. And it's just a great opportunity for the school to continue on the traditions that we've had dating all the way back to Neil Armstrong.
I know you've been quite busy training in Russia for your mission, but obviously the Purdue men's basketball team has had some great success this year. Will you be able to follow them at all as they play in the Big Ten tournament and then March Madness?
That's right. They have been doing a fantastic job this year. And our flight director, Gary Horlacher, who is also a Purdue graduate, has been keeping myself and Scott up to date on their progress. And we look forward to having opportunities to watch the games while they're happening in space. And I can guarantee you that we've got a good cheering section up there with Scott and myself, and we'll be carrying the team all the way.
So Drew, what date do you leave this month? And tell me just a little bit in general about the departure and your overall mission on the ISS.
Our launch date is set for March 21st, and we're scheduled to be in space until the end of August. And our role is to ensure that the space station continues to operate and function normally so that we can support the science and research that's happening every day up there. We will receive a number of cargo supply ships. Right now, we're scheduled to see 3 cargo supply ships from the United States, 2 SpaceX vehicles, and an orbital ATK spacecraft. There's also going to be a Russian Progress supply ship that arrives over there. So we'll be busy. We'll have a lot of cargo transfer operations, but our real job is to just continue the great science and research that's happening up there.
Drew, thanks for your time. That's all the time we have. Safe travels, my friend. Best of luck to you.
Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon.
Also, we'll be streaming it for you if you're a little, maybe on the other side of the...
Tim has actually been pretty jazzed about this one because it's supposed to help him now. It's a weather satellite.
It's a weather satellite.
Hi there. Mic check, please. Real quick. We're coming to you here in a few seconds.
I'm clear.
All right. In less than 3 weeks, a Soyuz rocket will be carrying astronauts back to the International Space Station. They are set to blast off from Kazakhstan on March the 20th.
Hello, Drew. This is Orlando. Can we get a mic check?
Is astronaut Drew Feustel? He's going to be on board. He's joining us live from Russia right now. Talking more about got the big thumbs up. When you get the thumbs up from an astronaut, that's always a good day. That's a good way to start my day. Sir, good to see you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the shout out today. It's great to join you there.
You've gone up on 2 shuttle missions. You've worked on the Hubble telescope. You've worked on some fancy schmancy spectrometer. I know that. What are you doing on this one?
This time we've got an opportunity to actually live in space. My previous 2 missions were, I guess, what you could call visits to space, and I was lucky enough, like you mentioned, to work on the Hubble Space Telescope, and then we delivered the alpha magnetic spectrometer to the space station. And this time I'm going to be staying for almost 6 months, and the job is really to keep the lights on and make sure the space station supports the excellent research and science that we do there every day.
Now, I know you've got a PhD in geology, I think it is, but when you go up on the Soyuz, do you have to learn Russian to do this?
Absolutely. When we fly with the Russians, we fly in a Russian spacecraft, and everything's written in Russian, and our commander on the Soyuz spacecraft speaks Russian. So we both try hard to communicate in each other's language, and sometimes we usually find a happy medium, but it seems to be enough to allow us to be successful and make sure the rocket gets us to space. And once we get up there on orbit, we kind of go our separate ways, join up at meal times, but our job together is to keep that International Space Station operating for all the nations that are involved in working together.
Well, as I said, you had 2 missions that were relatively short, but this time you're going to be up there for quite a while. Did they let you bring your guitar?
And that's a great question. In fact, we have 2 guitars in space, and I'm looking forward to playing some music up there. Scott Tingle, who's a Boilermaker, I'm joining another Boilermaker in space. We're going to be playing some music together, and actually my other crewmate on the Soyuz spacecraft, Ricky Arnold, is a guitar player as well. So we plan to play some music and get a little bit of downtime if we can.
I think you can make some recordings and maybe sell a few of those. That might be pretty good. Music from space. So how did you wind up getting into being an astronaut? Because as I say, you got your degree, you got your PhD in geology and seismology. How did you wind up blasting off for the cosmos?
Well, astronauts come from all walks of life and all professions, and in fact, the greater the diversity for us, the better. So we really do look for people with various operational and technical skills, scientists, doctors, test pilots, really all professions if we can, and that is really turns out to be an asset for us in our day-to-day operations. Most of us have some unique skills or specialties on the side. I consider mine to be mechanical skills. And all of those things that we do as scientists and researchers are critical to understanding the work that's going on space station.
You do the spacewalks, don't you? That's got to be the most amazing feeling in the world.
I can tell you that there's no greater feeling or experience that you can have than to see the beauty of humanity on the planet below you and the expanse and infinite space out behind you. While inside of a spacesuit. That's got to be the most unique vantage point that any human can have, and we do our best to try to share those stories and the pictures of what that looks like. But I can tell you from personal experience that being there's really just no substitute for that.
Drew Feustel, we wish you the best. March 21st, you're blasting off. We got our fingers crossed. We'll be watching from the other side of the Earth, waiting for you to get up there. Good to talk to you, my friend.
Great. Thanks for your time today.
You bet.
Further from Drew when we speak with him in just a few moments.
How many astronauts are going to be going up on this flight? How many does he join?
Well, there's 3 on board the space station now, and he'll be following with Rick Arnold himself and Anton Shreplev from Russia.
Wonderful.
So they'll be launching on the 21st. Good morning, Drew. This is Randy Siegel from WSTU Radio. How do you hear me?
Randy. I hear you just fine. How do you hear me?
I hear you 5 by 5. Well, Drew, let me ask you something. How did it feel to watch the last Soyuz splash down, or actually come down, on the steppes of Kazakhstan recently?
That is a great question. I actually woke up at 4:30 in the morning here just to roll over and make sure that the deorbit burn was complete and that the crew was coming home, and then woke up again at 5:30 to make sure that they touched down okay and that the crew was extracted from the space capsule. And what it means to me is that the space station is now ready to receive our crew of 3 that will launch on March 21st on the Soyuz spacecraft. So it's exciting. It's hard to believe after 22 months of training that the weeks have finally come where we're going to be in final preparations to blast off. And this is an exciting time for me. I haven't seen space since 2011, and I'm really just pleased to have the opportunity to get back up to the space station and carry on the great work that all the crews that have been there before me, all the 55 crews that have been on orbit before us to carry out that work.
Are you going to have an opportunity? You have an opportunity to talk with the crew that just came back from the station before you go?
We won't talk to them. We spoke to them the other day, but the fact that I'm in Russia, in Star City, which is a training center outside of Moscow, actually allowed me to talk to that Soyuz commander who just landed yesterday. In fact, before I came up for the interviews today, I met him in the hall downstairs, and we had a little chat about current state of affairs with the space station and how he felt to be home, and just welcomed him back. He looks great. He looks happy, but he said he had a fantastic experience up there. So we're really looking forward to the same chances that he had to get the work done.
I have a question. What part of the Russian tradition do you like the best when spaceflight is concerned?
I'll tell you what I like the best about the Russian space program is the spacecraft that we use to get to space, which is the Soyuz spacecraft. I mean, their capability that they've had over these last 40, 50 years to send people to space is just phenomenal. There's a reason that we've put our assets here to have access to space, and we hope to transition to our own U.S. spacecraft here in the near future. But the fact that they've provided us with this great opportunity to be in space and still have access to the space station has just been remarkable, and we are thankful for the chance to work with them and continue the tradition that we've been carrying on since 1975 with the Apollo-Soyuz program with the Russians.
I understand that you're going to be carrying through with some of the experiments that Ilan Ramon were going to take care of. Could you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, specifically, not necessarily experiments, but Ilan Ramon took with him an illustration from a Czech Jewish boy from the Czech Republic, and this illustration was called Moonscape, and it was a diagram that he drew, or an illustration, a picture he drew while he was being held in the Terezin concentration camp. He eventually lost his life at Auschwitz, but Ilan Ramon, the Israeli astronaut, had this vision of taking these drawings to space and returning them to Earth. And the picture is quite beautiful. It's an image of I would say, of dreams and inspiration for anybody who sees it. And it just allows you to realize that these folks that suffered the great tragedies in the 1940s still had the ability to dream and think outside of their confines. And so I've been blessed with the opportunity through the Yad Vashem Museum in Jerusalem to take these illustrations back to space and return them to just to close the story.
Well, we certainly want to wish you a very, very successful trip, and we really thank you for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
Thanks for talking to us today, and wish you a great day.
Thank you.
He's given up meat and is now strictly a vegetarian. He has been on our show in the past, so we wish Kevin the best in his recovery here. Indiana Comic-Con is just 4 weeks away, and new this year, you could have the chance to meet some stars from the popular Netflix series Stranger Things. Comic-Con recently added David Harbour to the lineup of stars attending this year's convention. Harbour portrays Police Chief Jim Hopper. He'll be greeting fans March 31st and April 1st. Actor Sean Astin, who played Bob Newby, will also be in town as well.
And with that, we see the fires lit, the engines start to roar, and lift off.
More astronauts soon going to blast off to the International Space Station, and this time, one of them is a Purdue graduate. He is Drew Feustel, and he's joining us live from the Cosmonaut Training Center all the way in Star City, Russia. Good morning, Drew from Indiana. Tell us about this current training, and when are you set to launch?
Thanks for calling in today and giving us an opportunity to talk about what's next for myself and our crew. We're launching from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on March 21st, and we'll spend 2 days on orbit while we slowly make our way to the International Space Station, and then we'll be there for 5.5 months, returning at the end of August.
That's awesome, Drew. Tell us a little bit, if you will, about your time at Purdue here in Indiana, and is this your first mission?
No, this is not my first mission. This is my third flight to space. The previous flights were in 2009 for the repairs of the Hubble Space Telescope on STS-125, and then again in 2011, which was the last flight of Space Shuttle Endeavour to the International Space Station. And I spent 5 years at Purdue University after transferring there from community college in Detroit. came down to Purdue to receive a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree in geophysics, and then left Purdue for Canada to pursue a PhD in seismology.
Drew, can you talk to us a little bit about, for you personally, when you think about what you do and how important it is of what you study, to kind of give us the big picture of why you do what you do and why you're so passionate about it?
I was driven to an interest in space and science at an early age. I grew up watching cartoons about space exploration, and as a young kid, I just believed that humans eventually would have constant and continual access to space, and we would be carrying out space exploration on a regular basis. And I realize we're not there yet, but we're still trying. And at 50 years into human exploration, we all have to realize that this is just the beginning. But I hope that through the work that we do in continuation of the early pioneers will allow us eventually in the next 50 or 100 years to see that dream come true, that goal of working, operating, living in space, and utilizing the resources that are around us, and carrying out the science and technology that will make life better for all humans here on the planet.
Astronaut Drew Feustel, we sure do appreciate it, and we'll be thinking of you. We wish you the best of luck. Thanks for joining us this morning, again, all the way live